I'm good.
Awesome. So we're live, Talcon Quinn. Awesome. Appreciate you coming to talk today.
Yeah, great. It's awesome to be here today.
For sure.
Thanks
Awesome.
for reaching out.
Yeah. So I mean, kind of like again, the Living's Traditions. Like, is it just called Living's Traditions in Pomeroy? Like,
So in 2022, I was reached out to by Mid-Atlantic Arts, which is an organization that helps distribute grants throughout the Mid-Atlantic Arts region.
Yeah.
Ohio is not technically part of Mid-Atlantic.
Okay.
We'd be Arts Midwest is
Yeah,
usually who
yeah.
we work with for like distribution of grants. But there's an organization is putting intentional thought into preserving the traditions of Central Appalachia area.
Yeah.
So there's a fund called Central Appalachia Living Traditions Anchor Communities.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2022, I was reached out to be part of a table discussion of what living traditions are in Athens County. How do we want to preserve them? How do we want to uplift them? What are we going to do?
Yeah.
And so from that, there was a handful of us, Brian Costco being one of them with all the work he does doing podcasts. I'm sure you're familiar with him.
I'm actually not. What's his name? Brian
Costco.
Okay.
He has Invisible Ground. So he was a part of it. Teresa Lackey from the Federal Valley Resource Center was a part. The Dairy Barn.
Awesome. Yeah.
Arts West.
Yeah. Just right up the road. Yeah.
Yeah, so we were all part of it, and we're like, what do we want to do? And what we decided to do is a series of mini festivals. So in 2023, we did a series of mini festivals in Athens County, recognizing, like IDing, figuring out who are the people who are practitioners of living traditions. And maybe I should back up and be like, what is this definition?
Yeah.
So we could say like Appalachian traditions, and most people are going to think moonshine and banjos, right? Like we're all going to get there real fast.
Yeah.
But there's other things that make up the vibrant fabric of our community that have become traditions that maybe we don't think of so much anymore. An example of that would be Brandon Rising, who does circuit bending. He plays a Moog synthesizer. Moog synthesizers have been made in Asheville, North Carolina since like the 50s, I believe. So they've been around for a while, and we've been using them in our music for a long time, and that it's an evolution. Mm-hmm. A tradition doesn't like stay stagnant.
For sure.
If it's gonna live, it's gotta evolve. And so we started identifying like what traditions we'd want to have and who we would want to present. Yeah. And we had a mini festival first in Albany, at the Albany Fairgrounds. And then we did one in Nelsonville, Gloucester, and Athens, and Stuart, Ohio.
Cool.
And then at the end, and then Brian did a series, which was part of it, where he went around to small communities in the area and taught them how to do interviews to archive, like, folks who have great oral histories that we want to preserve. Yeah. So that was another piece that we had going on. But at the end, we met, like, because Athens County wasn't the only anchor community. It was the only one for Ohio, Appalachia, Ohio, but there was one in Virginia, one in Kentucky, and so we all got together and talked again, and one of the things we said, it was like, well, this being like a one-time thing is kind of a bummer because we did all this research and we want to keep going. We don't really have the funding. So the funding was renewed, and when we applied again, I requested that we branch out of Athens County because that was something that I found to be limiting.
Yeah.
I found like when we did the event in Gloucester, which was really vibrant and beautiful, and people were so ecstatic for the event down there. They were like square dancing in the street next to
that is cool.
Gloucester Depot. There was blacksmithing and broom making and all these demonstrations on a variety of living traditions. I found that I couldn't just find people from Athens County, and I bent the rules and I didn't care. But I was like, we should make this larger, right? So we're doing a mini festival series again. And the first one will be in Pomeroy.
Yeah, okay.
The second one will be in Corning, Ohio.
Where's that?
It's in Perry County. It's near Shawnee.
Okay. So to like central and south. Right?
It would be like, a little bit from here.
Yeah, it would be west and down.
Yeah, we're going out towards like Burr Oak.
Yeah.
So, and then we'll have one in Stuart in October.
Which is like towards like
Stuart's on 329 past Guysville, in between Guysville and Tabler.
The marathon. Yeah, that's
yeah. So we're doing the mini festivals again, and each one will have its own flavor. as did the ones in Athens County. Like
Yeah.
each little town kind of like brought its, like, oh, we know this person and that person, and like, bring them together. We'll be doing it again next year in 2026.
Nice.
But then in between the festivals, we're also going to, like, in between being like the cooler months, we're going to have workshops.
Cool. What a workshop for what?
We haven't like totally solidly decided what the
Yeah.
workshops will be, but examples would be like maybe mandolin making. Maybe it will be like an intensive weekend of playing music or singing or songwriting.
Yeah.
Maybe it will be quilting. We kind of have to identify it's still a work in progress,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So we haven't laid out everything, but brew making is one that's been like a big success.
Nice.
We worked with Kirk Cable, who is a preacher, a musician. In many ways, like, he's a brew maker, but he's also just like a genuinely like pure Appalachian. Like when I think of like the quintessential like Appalachian Ohio, and it's Kirk Cable, like he has like the little accent, and it's So from the series that we did in 2023, Kurt really excelled with it.
Awesome.
Like he saw like what we were sharing. Like I helped him write a bio. I helped him gather up photos. Like we had a photographer at each of the spots, so we were able to like get really good photos at each one, and then give them to the practitioners later. We did interviews during that one too with a lot of the practitioners, and we're able to give those to them afterwards. Brian, I'm not sure if Brian edited any of them or used any that he did on his own. But so the idea is, for me, when I think of why are we doing this, why Living Traditions, is because, so I'm generationally from the area. My dad's family's been here for a very long time.
Cool.
At least the 1830s.
Wow.
In Athens County. So that's like really, and like before Athens County, it's like we were in Meigs and West Virginia. So I'm like made of Ohio River Valley. And growing up, I grew up in Athens, in town, not in the county. And I was kind of taught to like do what you can to pass for a OU, like professor's kid.
Yeah.
Like don't talk about the fact that like your Aunt Blanche like crochets dolls and tools leather, and they still have a well, and they don't have electricity, and they raise horses. Like, don't talk about that. Don't repeat crick. Don't, use these.
You're so ashamed?
Yeah. I mean, like Athens, there's always been the town-gown divide, but then even deeper than the town-gown divide is like the town-county divide, right?
What do you mean by town-gown divide?
Town-gown divide is kind of like the idea that the folks from the university are different and separate than the folks from town.
Okay.
So projects like this I always think are really great because the university was built for the idea of like people making community here, right? And we should all work together. But so for me with Living Traditions, I think one of the reasons why this area has been so oppressed and repressed is because we haven't been taught to celebrate who we are.
Yeah. Heard.
That like some of us say crick, that's just like what some of us say. Some people ask for mangoes on their pizza when they're referring to a green pepper. Those things are really cute and cool and awesome. And instead of being like, still in kindergarten getting made fun of for them and feeling ashamed of them, we should embrace them and like laugh and celebrate them. And that's what I hope this brings.
That's incredible. Yeah, like empowerment to the people. Like, don't be ashamed. Like, keep preserving. Keep the living tradition on. For that to happen, you have to be a part of it, right?
Yeah.
You can't be a part of it if you're covering it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of the traditions that we have too, like I'm hoping this round will do even more focus on foodways. The one in Pomeroy will. Like we're going to have 2 demonstrations on herbs and one on sourdough.
Yeah, cool.
So for me, a lot of the traditions that I grew up around from my extended family practicing are tools of resiliency and tools of resistance, of being able to be self-sufficient and take care of yourself in a celebratory, beautiful way, right?
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that that is what people glean out of this, as well as like identifying who in our area is an artisan that has like
a tradition to carry on.
Yeah. That we should celebrate.
So how do you source that now? Like, how do you even figure out the
word
first
of mouth,
people? Yeah.
talking to
I mean,
people.
that checks out. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is nice because like the festivals kind of give people an opportunity to try out demonstrating, try out doing. They might have never done public speaking before, have taught at all. not everybody's made to be a teacher. Some people are like made to do their craft or art and just do it. So it gives us space to like explore that together. I have a larger vision for the region that we have like a network of folk centers. And I say folk centers instead of like folk art centers because though I see art being a piece of it, I see them as being centers that are for the community and for the people, but that can incorporate like healthcare, aid, food pantries, thrift stores.
Yeah.
But also that we're like, to me, I'm an artist, right? Like I'm an artist to my core. And I believe that art is like an integral part of being human. So like it's like a holistic piece. Like these centers can preserve our history, encourage tourism, while also uplifting and supporting the community.
Yeah.
So we are taking note of who we get told practices a tradition, even if they don't present at these exact events, and looking forward to how we can like network and do other programming.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So then you said specifically this Pomeroy one will focus on like some herbalism, or like quilting, music, history, and food. So like, what's the history thing? It's just people talking about the oral traditions of the story.
Yeah. So I'll run through like a quick summary of what the day will look like. Meigs County has been doing a really awesome job on their farmers market over the past couple years, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger. They're doing great.
That's awesome.
And it's in a beautiful location. It's
right
there on the river.
Yeah.
So it's already kind of like in their formula to have music and demonstrations. So we'll have, oh man, I don't have the list in front of me, but Rock Cave Revival, I believe is the name of the band, but a duo playing like what they call tall grass music. They'll play music during the market hours. And then a woman's going to do a sourdough demonstration. There'll be more music. And then we get into like the actual event. Like we're kind of using that as like a kickoffer.
The market.
The market. We're kind of like flowing with it.
Yeah.
And then at the Brick House Apothecary, which is now owned by United Plant Savers, Maureen from Herbal Sage Tea will be doing a grow your own herb garden. And she'll be going over like, what plants do you want to put in it? How do you get them to grow? What do you do with them after they grow? What do you do with them after you like preserved them? She'll do that. Then we have a young musician, Mason Baker, who is from right in that area.
Cool.
He'll perform in the park, which I've learned is O'Brien Park. I've been calling it the Pocket Park. It's right next to the Court Grill.
The little like kind of pocket of just greenery, right? If you're walking down the street.
There's like a little stage there. It's really like right next to the grill. I think you can actually access it from the grill.
Nice.
He'll be playing there. We have a woman doing a demo. She takes old quilts and turns them into jackets.
That's cool.
To like get them to continue on. We have another person doing a workshop on herbs where they'll be teaching how to make tinctures. A historian is coming and doing a walking tour of the area. So he's going to like, and he was like, if it rains, I don't know what we're going to do. But he really is like, to understand history, you got to be there with it.
That's
so
cool.
having those like interactive stories of like what happened in Pomeroy. Moxahala is going to play to close the evening. Before they play, we'll have a baked potato bar. The
Meigs Marauders band.
Yeah,
cool.
The Meigs band the boosters will be like hosting the baked potato bar. Any donations for the baked potato bar, they'll get to keep. And then the grill has music that evening. Shops in Pomeroy will be like doing little pop-up extensions.
Awesome.
So
So it's like a whole day. Come to the market, check out the market, and then it rolls right into the event. And then there's kind of things. So is all of this like, is it all the tour is happening the same time that the apothecary thing is happening the same time?
They're all kind of staggered.
Okay,
Like I think we have things starting, like if you're on the tour, you probably want to be paying attention to your clock because the tincture making workshop might be starting right at the end of it.
Just kind of know what you're looking to catch and then, mosey around that.
Yeah.
Wicked, awesome.
Yeah, and we have a Facebook page. That's like the main way we've been
Is it just Living's Traditions? Because I kept calling it Living's Traditions in Pomeroy just because that's what I wrote on my calendar. Like, you know, whatever when I saw the event. But
because you're going to be there May 31st.
Yeah, May 31st. And to the Meigs Market.
You're going to be down there at noon. Get some fruits and vegetables.
Well, when does the market? It starts at noon?
The market starts at 10.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
And it goes until 1.
Perfect. Okay.
And then our, like, actual like living tradition events will be like 12:30 starting with
Cool.
the brick house.
Cool.
But there'll be demos and music at the market beforehand.
Awesome. Yeah. I've never been to the Meg's Market, been to Pomeroy and stuff, but no, that'd be exciting to get down there. Yeah.
So it's Living Traditions Athens is the Facebook page.
see.
It's also on Instagram. Living Traditions Athens at gmail.com is how people can get a hold of us if they are like, I know someone or I am like just filled with this tradition and want to share it. And like recognizing it doesn't have to be, like I was saying at the beginning, like it doesn't have to be banjos or moonshine. It's, you know, we want it to be something that you've learned in a traditional manner. So like something you've learned from someone else or, you know, studied under, it's been handed down, and that you have a like dedication to the region, right? We're not looking for people necessarily coming up from other parts of Appalachia, but we're looking for what's here and like what happens here.
That's cool. That is cool.
Yeah.
And so Pomeroy is the first one.
Pomeroy's the first one, May
there's a
31st. And then Corning, which is Perry County, August 9th.
Okay.
I don't think we have the time set on that, but you're looking at like noon to the end of the day kind of time range. And then October, I'm looking at my calendars as I'm saying this out loud. I believe it's October 11th. It's the second Saturday of October. We will be in Stuart, Ohio at the Federal Valley Resource Center. Yeah, October 11th. And that one again later in the day.
Cool.
That one's a personal favorite. My family's from Stuart and Guysville,
okay. Cool,
so
cool.
I have a lot of like love and deep root for that area. And we do apple butter, which is my family's tradition.
Are there any other things that you already know that are coming to that Stewart one, like any of the traditions?
It sounds like the Burhans are going to be a part of it. So that is Hillary and Emily Burhans, possibly Mark. I believe people from Athens will know the Wild Honeybees. Emily and her father Mark are both part of that band. Hillary and Mark are deeply rooted in the old time music scene here in Athens, and then both of their children are musicians. So I've reached out to them to be a part of it because I'd like to show that evolution of what happens when you're like, you know, raised around people picking banjos and guitars and where you take it yourself.
Carrying on that living tradition.
Yeah,
beautiful.
exactly.
Such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That's cool. So what are your challenges? Like, what's difficult about this? Is like, are you worried about funding drying up for this? Like, what is it? Just sourcing these people, the network? Like, what's hard for you? How can this community support those things that are difficult for you?
So funding is something that I wonder about. Like, we have it, it's free to the community, and we do pay our presenters. Everyone gets paid, which is awesome, because if you're an artist and you're listening to this, you know how many times you've been asked to do something for free. And it's tiring. It's your work. Like, you should be paid and respected for it. So we really are trying to do what we can to, like, uplift the practitioners and artists in our area with this program. But, you know, we have a grant for now. We know we have it for 2 years. But, like, I don't know what it looks like on the other side. Like, if we'll still have this funding, if it will grow. The hope is that, like, right now, Federal Valley Resource Center is the, like, hub, the fiscal agent for this program, is that there'll be another hub, like, possibly a nonprofit in Pomeroy. And then we'll, like, kind of start branching out with, like, the counties that we include and the communities that we include. So it's not just this pocket of, like, Athens.
Because I hope, like, the always Athens, like, I think that there's a really great opportunity for that, for like the good in Athens to like continue spreading. Like, for sure, like, I don't know, but it's like people from Nelsonville, you know, like when they talk to somebody from Clemson, they go, oh, I'm from Athens. Just like somebody from, you know, a suburb of Cleveland says they're from Cleveland, but they're really from you know, Brecksville, or they're from Strongsville, or like, you know, I'm from Canton, or I'm from like, it's so for sure, Athens County, like, that's an awesome like virtue to aim at. Like,
and we don't want to stop having Athens be involved, or you know what I mean, but to actually have it move. So the vision I'm seeing, and it ties in with that idea of like creating folk centers, creating a folk network. Where we know who's practicing what, and like have ways to like uplift and share our talents and skills with one another. So my hope is that it will move to like Meigs being the anchor community, and then maybe Perry County, or then maybe Gallia County, but start getting this area kind of known for its cultural vibrancy. We have a lot of deep history, particularly with like the Ohio River was the line, you know, like that. If you were freeing yourself from the South, you came up here, like this was free free land. And there's a lot of deep history here of like so many different people like figuring it out in one area, and so many different cultures coming together.
Yeah.
And we've been kind of isolated. And so I'd like us to kind of break that and network together and help each other grow in a positive direction.
That's how the community can support. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Sharing it, coming, attending.
Yeah.
Like just attending, you know.
Saturday, May 31st.
Saturday, May 31st. August 9th, you know. October 11th.
Yep.
Show up, be a part, and then, you know, ask yourself what, you know, how you want to be a part as it goes forward.
Yeah. And what would your advice to that be? Just like find out what you're interested in. Maybe you didn't think that the quilting, like turning into a hoodie would be that cool, but it might catch you. Or like, yeah, maybe you didn't think you were a green thumb, but you know, maybe I could take care of a couple of these herbs. Or,
maybe you're not a green thumb. Maybe your thing is making tinctures and making products from another person's herb garden. Yeah. So yeah. And just being a part and admiring it and appreciating it and recognizing it.
Not being ashamed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Celebrate it. It's awesome. Wow. So you got a couple other flowers in here. What is this? Yeah. Heart's Beat Gone South.
So I am a folk artist here in Athens, Ohio. My focus is on doing traditional arts in a modern, tangible way. I work with materials I exclusively harvest myself or process myself. A lot of folks know me for my jewelry. I also weave and make baskets. And in June, the first weekend of June, June 6th, I have my annual tulip poplar bark class coming up.
Yeah, that's in there too. Cool.
The registration for that closes on May 31st. And then from organizing my own work, I've found myself in a position where I'm organizing others. So on June 14th at the Federal Valley Resource Center, my dear friends from Hearts Gone South from Asheville, North Carolina, they play original old-style country and honky-tonk music. They'll be performing. No one's turned away due to lack of funds, but we are asking for a $5 to $25 donation if you have it.
Cool.
They'll be awesome. That's at 6 p.m. They're great.
Yeah, and then the Federal Valley Resource Center keeps coming back up. This is where the Living's Traditions Stewart is going to be, and it's the same thing. So what's up with this Federal Valley Resource Center? What is that originally? And, go ahead.
The Federal Valley Resource Center is a community center, and it in 1998 was its last year serving as a school. It was built as one of the first schools in the area. So I think it was
the Shade School?
No, Shade's in a different area. But there's a lot of little tiny schools around southeastern Ohio. And so that was I believe it was called the Stewart School. And then when my grandparents graduated from it, it was the Rome Canaan School. When I was in high school, it was FedHawk. Right? FedHawk Local School was the last year it was in that building. It was a middle school. And the Federal Valley Resource Center is a group of volunteers who have dedicated themselves to keeping it open, working towards getting the center, the old school, renovated to serve as a community center. So they have a thrift store. It's awesome. An awesome thrift store.
Cool.
It's great.
Do you know what the hours are of it?
It's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and I want to say it's 10 to 5.
Cool.
I could be wrong about that. They also have a Facebook page, and it's definitely prominent. Their website, it's prominently advertised the hours of the thrift store. They have a food pantry, which is open every Friday, and then I forget the monthly one, the larger one that they have. But they work with CFI to have local produce, which is awesome.
Yeah, love the CFI.
And then Teresa Lackey is a retired music teacher from FedHawk Local School District. Huge passion for the arts and keeping the arts vibrant in the community. And about 12 or 13 years ago, she started the musical lending library. So you can borrow an instrument there free of charge.
Cool.
For up to 3 months.
Wow.
They offer music lessons for low-cost sliding scale. They do the monthly performances, so the second Saturday of every month, usually at 7. This one's going to be a little bit earlier, but you can catch a concert.
Yeah.
Always, no one's turned away from lack of funds, but we always need funds.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So, if you take an instrument and you're able to make a donation, that's awesome because it keeps us going. Even if it's $5, it just can buy some strings for a guitar that needs repaired. It's a great place to, rent out. They have pickleball courts in the gym.
Cool.
They rent the space out for gatherings, and it's great. I love it. It's, in a really beautiful location. It's quirky and old. And
Federal Valley Resource Center.
Federal Valley Resource Center.
Nice.
We run a lot of programming through there, too. They have a really vibrant senior citizen program where they meet weekly. Kurt Cable, who I mentioned earlier, who's a broom maker, has done multiple broom making classes there. I've done a handful of beading classes. There's a quilting group.
Nice.
Yeah, there's stuff going on down there.
It's fun. Awesome. Well, then bouncing back to this tulip poplar bark basket workshop, you want to talk a little more about what that is?
Yeah, so those containers are technically not baskets, though we call them baskets.
Yeah.
They're the earliest design of containers that humans made. As we did with fire and like making cordage and such, we kind of all had this like, I don't know what they call it, like the seventh monkey thing, where we like have an epiphany at the same time. Humans all over the globe were making containers like this before we knew how to weave baskets, before we knew how to make ceramics. So this will happen in the Plains, Ohio, out of my home. You can make anything from like a small berry bucket to like a larger quiver. Someone made a quiver last year. Like
wicked.
if they'll use it as a quiver, I don't know. They might use it just as a mushroom basket. I love encouraging people to make them as mushroom baskets because mushrooms really like to be carried in things that have holes in them and can spread their spores while you're collecting them.
Yeah, okay. Oh, so is like the bottom of this like open, or what is the bottom
sides
of
of
that
it are
like?
pretty open.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice. So, and it's hosted where?
It's hosted in the Plains out of my home.
In the Plains. Okay.
And then I always do like a fall and a spring hide tanning workshop where I teach people how to use the organs of the animal in smoke to make beautiful buckskin.
Wow.
I teach wicker basketry every year on Easter weekend. And then I usually have like a handful of other workshops happening.
Yeah, it sounds like you really back up all the time. Like you're talking about like keeping these living traditions alive. Like, you know, it seems like you're walking that walk, you know?
Yeah, I love them. Like I said, I feel like art is like an integral
when
part.
did that start for you? Like
as
what,
a child,
what,
yeah.
what is it like? What is an artist? I mean, like how do you define an artist? How do you define art?
Ooh, ow. I think it's approaching things in an organic, authentic way. So being true to yourself, like looking at it in an eye of like not just the traditional viewpoint, but it's also a matter of like maintaining a practice with it. Like with basket weaving, you know, like not just making a basket and being like, I made a basket, now I'm an artist. But like diving in, looking at it, getting to the roots of it. How's the willow grown? How is it harvested? How is it put up? I mean, I think that art doesn't begin and end with visual art or performance art or music. I think it really is about how you approach life and how you look at things and having like a wider lens than just black and white, but looking for all the shades of gray in between.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah. What else you got? Anything else to promote? Anything else to talk about? I mean, I'll sit here till 5 p.m. But I don't want to pressure you or force you into anything. Just like
no, it's cool. I was reviewing like some of the questions that you sent me over in our email when we were talking. One of them was like, "What's a success story?"
Oh yeah,
and I kind of touched in on like Gloucester being so vibrant. I think overall, like the whole event series, because when we got approached to do this, you know, we've got like all these amazing groups from Athens County that really don't work together that often. And we're like, I don't know, what are we going to do? When we landed on the festivals, I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. Like, maybe no one will show up. And like at Albany, we had, I think, 40 people show up, you know. And we're like, okay, that's kind of good, but it's like not great.
Yeah.
And each one got better and better. They all, like, if you ask me to think of them, like, they all stand out in different ways. But Gloucester was a really big one for me because, like, we were, like, right in downtown Gloucester.
That community's proud of itself. Like, you know, if there was a subset community, it's like Gloucester's really fucking proud of Gloucester. You know, like, kind of to your point earlier where you're talking about, like, some people shy away from, like, don't, you know, like, whatever, curtail yourself to conform like these other people. Like, I feel like the people I knew from Trimble were really like Tomcat proud and really glad. Like, you know, like I don't feel that sense of shame about who they are, you know, like, so it's interesting that you are acknowledging that was really like that checks out against kind of like they are about what they are about is such a beautiful thing.
So getting to choose these practitioners, particularly on the last round, like I spent a lot of time like talking to people and figuring out like who should come, who should we have present at these. And talking to the older generation around Gloucester, like they would get like stars in their eyes about these events that they used to do and just like the way how vibrant the town used to be. And so, you know, we really curated a great group of people for that. And they're playing music like right there on that little stage. And the depot like parking lot is like, you know, there's the stage, the depot parking lot, and there's like a little alley street in between. And that was closed off, and everyone was just like out there celebrating. And these old timers, I don't know if they want me to call them old timers, but like these older folks, you know, who are definitely like my seniors, came up to me afterwards with huge smiles on their faces, and they were like, "It hasn't been like this since we were little kids."
That's awesome.
It was awesome. It was super cool. And, like, everybody was, like, skeptical, nervous, and not sure. And, like, it rained right before the event started, you know, but it was, like, blue skies and, like, perfectly cool weather in August, which is always so brutally hot. And it was really great. And, like I said, like, Kurt Cable he performed at that. He also did a brew making demo for us, and his kids were involved. And after that, like, he took that and he was like, I think I could teach a workshop series on brew making. I think I want to do that. And so, like, the next spring, we did a spring cleaning, like, brew making workshop series. And it was successful for him. And he's going after grants now himself, which is, like, it was a goal I had, you know? And, like, to just even have one person take it and be able to go in that direction is, like, really beautiful and great. And for them to see that, like, yeah, what I'm doing is important. There's funds out there. I mean, it's hard right now. Like, things are changing pretty intensely and pretty quickly. But to see that there's still that desire to persevere and, like, to pass it on is pretty awesome.
Yeah. So, to be a part of something larger than yourself, you know? Like, that's community, right? Like,
yeah.
That's at the core. That's what we're doing.
Yes.
That's wicked.
And it's, in my opinion, you know, it's always important, but it's kind of like absolutely essential right now.
Yeah. So again, the community can support by showing up May 31st in Meg's, or in Pomeroy, June.
May 31st in Pomeroy.
Yep.
August 9th. In Perry County at Corning, like downtown Corning at the John L. Tier Park. And then October 11th in Stewart, Ohio at the Federal Valley Resource Center.
Wicked. Yeah, cool.
And if you come to Pomeroy and you're kind of like trying to figure out on Saturday, like, where do I go? What's happening? What's the schedule of events? You can find the schedule of events on our Facebook page. But also in the Pocket Park, the O'Brien Park next to the grill, we'll have the Southeast Ohio Hope Center. We'll be doing refreshments by donation, and they will have a schedule and be there as an information booth. So you can always, like, tap in there and be like, what's happening? Where do I go?
Awesome. Yeah. And then can people, like, just donate to your organization? How would they do that?
Probably the best way to do that is to make a donation to the Federal Valley Resource Center with a note saying for Living Traditions.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. I really appreciate all this information.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm glad that you called.
Yeah. Is there anyone else, like any of these practitioners, like do you have any advice on, like, people from these, like maybe just some of the names you mentioned, like anybody else you'd recommend, like trying to bring on and share some stories, like I mean, even the oral tradition, like who's the guy that you said is
Kurt
doing
Cable?
He's the one that's doing the walkthrough history tour.
Oh,
as well?
that's Mike Gerlach, I believe is how you pronounce his last name.
Cool.
I'm sure he would be great to talk to. He was a high school history teacher.
Cool.
When I talked to him on the phone, he was real chill, super expressive. Other interesting things around that area, you know, if you can get, like, anyone from United Plant Savers to talk, whether it be like Susan Leopold, who is based in Virginia, but she's the executive director for United Plant Savers, if you can get her, or Maureen Burns, who's lived in the area, I think, for like 35 years or so, and has herbal sage tea.
Cool.
She's a part of organizing the Pomeroy event. She's presenting there.
Awesome.
She's a wealth of knowledge about UPS and the region. And this area is so rich with woodland medicinals. And that's played a vital part of our, like, history here, like, pre-colonialism, you know? Lonnie Galtice is a herbalist down with Equinox Botanicals. That's also down in Meigs. Kurt Cable is rich with great history and pretty comfortable speaking in groups. There's also Devin from Gallery 14 in Pomeroy.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a long list to
That's a
try to
long
get at.
list,
Awesome.
yeah.
I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, and if you or anyone else you know is a practitioner of some living tradition and you want to talk to me about it, livingtraditionsathens@gmail.com is where to shoot a message.
Beautiful. Yeah, and then Facebook page, Instagram, check them
It's
out.
all Living
support 'em.
Traditions Athens.
Awesome.
Great.
Talcon, thanks again so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful. Bye.
Decide if you want to add it in or not.
Well, like basically, I'll just push the two together, you know. So it'll say bye, and then in real time, it'll just snap back to this. But we are recording again. So what we're talking about, and thank you for wanting to talk about this. Like, yeah, basically, a narrative growing up here that gets pushed to kids is you have to get a college degree and leave to find opportunity. You either work for the university, you have a small business, or just there's not opportunity outside of that, the university or a company. And so, I mean, that got into my head, and I just, like, you know, I did whatever. I wanted to be successful, and so I thought that was the only route. And so I thought I was trapped in Athens, and I didn't really know. So I went to Hocking College first, and I transferred from Hocking to OU, and then I like basically was like, I'm gonna have to pay these student loans back, like, and then they make you take this like survey your first semester at OU, and I was in the 99th percentile for accounting. The reason for that, I understand now, is that like I was answering the questions like from Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like I want stability, I want safety, I want like predictability, like the things you would expect that a young child might want. And so I got an accounting degree, and I left town. I did everything they said, and then I called one of my mentors, Kevin Swartzel. I just called him, and I was like talking to him, and you know, he like explained his story to me, and it ended up that he got an accounting degree, and he lived in Cleveland for 2 years and got a CPA license and came back and kind of did something for the community, and it just so happens that I got an accounting degree and lived in Cleveland for 2 years, and I came back, and now, you know, again through the amplifying the voices and the stories of this podcast, like trying to just like progress the community. But I mean, it took years to like allow myself to not feel like a failure for wanting to live here. Like, to your point at the beginning of being ashamed about being from here, like I just like God, I had to die to like accept it, you know?
Yeah, I get it. I grew up with the same narrative. I graduated high school with Kevin's sister Lee. We're the same age, so I've known Lee, like, his dad was my gym teacher. Same narrative. And I think, like, as I've gotten older, like, for a while I thought that was, like, really specific to Ohio. And it is very specific to Appalachia. But it's also specific to, like, the whole American dream. Like, the American dream is, like, you're going to leave your family. You're not going to need anything from your family. You're going to be able to do this thing totally on your own independently. And, like, if you're married with 2 kids and your job career tells you to go somewhere else and your wife doesn't want to go, you still go, right? And, like, that's a disservice to all of us, to everyone.
Yeah.
To, like, everything. It's not a service to anyone. But I grew up here. My chance for going to college was basically OU because my mom had a job working food service in OU. I didn't have a college fund. That was my college fund, was to be able to go to OU at a discounted rate. Mm-hmm. Amazing. Super opportunity. I'm really glad that my mom did that. And it was 1998. The opioid epidemic was taking its grip on our community hard, you know? And, like, I wasn't really paying attention to it, but I grew up here where we, like, can go up to the green and, like, shoulder tap somebody and, like, get whatever we want, right? Like, that's, and it, like, there's part of me that has mixed feelings about sharing that, but, like, that is what we were growing up in.
It's
was
the
like,
truth.
I was graduating from high school, and, like, what was OU known for was being a party school. And, like, that party was, like, all around us all the time. Mm-hmm. And that's not a very nurturing, healthy environment. Mm-hmm. And if I stayed here, it wasn't going to be good for me. or my mental health. And like, I didn't have an opportunity to go to college somewhere else. And so I took off hitchhiking.
Wow.
And ended
In
up
what year?
in 1998.
Wow.
And I would leave with friends and come back and kind of bounce back and forth until I found a mission that I wanted to work on. I worked on preserving old growth forest on national forest land in the Pacific Northwest. It was an amazing thing. It wasn't going to college. It was very different. It is what got me on my track of like starting to learn traditional arts.
Yeah.
And I never, coming back here was going to be such a failure, like I didn't go to college and I'm a punk. Like I thought college was kind of stupid. So it's like, okay, I didn't go to college. Who cares? And like, I don't really want to be part of the system. Like whatever. Mm-hmm. But like eventually, like you need that hierarchy of needs. Like you need to have a house. You can't be a vagabond forever. And like you need community and you need to feed yourself and all of those things. And I made community and I was other places, but it was really hard for me to find steady work, having not gotten a degree and being a freelance artist. And I found myself back in Athens. I was making my way to Asheville. My grandfather got sick. I stayed in Athens. For a while, I thought that was like, I had trouble getting there and being okay with it. And I was like, well, actually being here, like, I have a support network. Like, I have community. I have people. And, like, I can share these, like, things that I've done in my life with these younger people. Like, we have a village here.
Yeah.
Which that is really unique. Like, that is way different than anywhere else I've ever lived, where I'm like, yeah, I could walk in and out of, like, homes of many people who I considered aunts and uncles, even though they weren't my aunts and uncles. Mm-hmm. I was dating somebody who was here for grad school from somewhere in Southern California, and my sister niece walked in to see a show at the bar. We were out hearing music at the Union. And I was like, oh, this is my sister niece. And he was like, what? I don't understand this. Like, how can she be your sister and your niece at the same time? And I'm like, well, that's what she is. My mom was sitting there and she's like, yeah, that's what she is. She's not related to us by blood at all. But, like, she's in between that, like, sister-niece status. But so moving back, I eventually just kind of was like, okay, I'm here. I've got these things to offer. I have easy access. Like, I don't even have to, be a teacher at a school. Like, I can still, like, access working with youth.
Yeah.
And I can work with people who are older than me. Like, maybe this isn't so bad. Mm-hmm. And then I started getting on this trajectory of, like, living traditions. And I was like, oh, this is what I'm here to do. And I think that there's a piece with that because a lot of folks didn't get out, right? And so that issue of the opioid epidemic did hit them, or substance abuse disorder, the things that happen when you live in an area that is like plagued with generational poverty, right?
Yeah, and a sparse of opportunity because they're you have to acknowledge to some degree that they're right, like to some degree, but I don't think that the ultimatum that's pushed of but yeah. All right, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, so like those folks are here and now they're in recovery, a lot of them, right? And the thing is that I think we all keep finding with that is like we have to find our higher power. And I'm saying that in like quotes, right? Because it can be anything.
Yeah.
It really can. And for me, it's community. For me, it's art. For me, it's like unique expression. And I think when we do things that like root us into place, like living traditions, it can really help uplift people through that. So that's how I found my way back here. It's one of the powers I think that living traditions has, is to root folks in place and make them more proud of their place and hopefully like sever this, because as much as like we don't have quote unquote opportunity, that's in a very like colonial capitalist viewpoint.
Yes.
Right? We also don't have that opportunity and we're not stuck in that system because of it.
Yeah.
So that means we have to have more artists and we have to have more like open-minded thinkers who can say we're not constrained by these ways of thinking that really often don't serve anybody, because how are we ever going to get as rich as these rich people? We're not. We're not.
Do we
like
need
it's
to?
not happening. We don't need to.
Yeah.
We need to be fed. We need to have a good community. We need to express ourselves creatively. Yeah. We need to have shelter, but that's what we need. We don't have to get rich.
You don't have to fucking buy a BMW. You don't have to, you just, man. Like, you just don't have to chase fucking keeping up with the Joneses for the rest of your life. And I'm blessed to have had the people that explain shit to me that they do. But it was actually a kid from Meg's. Like, I feel bad that I don't know who it is, but I just saw, like, on social media one day, a kid was, like, standing next to, like those big side-by-sides that like take out on trails and stuff. Standing next to it, and, like, the top of a hill, and it was just, like, beautiful rolling hills. Just the broccoli looked great, and he said some kids grow up and never want to come back. I'm not one of them, or, paraphrasing, something like that. Just like he was like, like, some kids want to leave. I'm not fucking one. And God, it just, like, ever since that day, I just remember, I just, something clicked. So it hit home, like, literally and figuratively. But yeah, no, it's so beautiful. I mean, I don't know anybody that age, but I would just be hard pressed to believe that that's not still there. I mean, I think COVID hopefully changed it too. Like, that was a spark for me because I started my career remotely. So I was like, oh, like, I'm doing my job now. Why can't I fucking keep doing it here? Like, oh, wait a minute. Now, so I have the opportunity of this national firm in Cleveland, but I'm still here now. Like, it just, like, there was just a little shadow of a doubt that maybe it's possible. And then, I was living in Cleveland, but every weekend I was in Athens, and it was obvious to me by the time I came back. But I still felt that. But I mean, like, what would your, like, I don't know, what would your advice to somebody that's, like, in that turmoil right now? Like, was there a realization that you had to be okay, or, like, you found your way back, or, like, I don't know. Yeah. What would your guidance be to, like, help somebody that feels that same shit that you're saying? It's like, we know that it's fucked up, but we still go do it because we don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. I mean, we're all going to go through a phase of needing to, like,
figure some shit out.
Yeah, figure some shit out. Like, we've got to jump out of the nest, right? We've got to spread our wings,
sure.
And we need to be away from home. Like, that's always been the case. There's that age where we've got to do that. And so that's important to do. But I feel like breaking the myth and, like, exposing that it's a myth to think that we need to do this solo. Mm-hmm. And that's not how it's happening. These really, really ultra wealthy people did not get there by doing it. They had inherent wealth.
Yeah.
And maybe our inherent wealth isn't dollar bills, gold, or even land. Mm-hmm. But it's community and heritage and relationship and knowing the land. Like, I've lived in the woods. I've lived with the land many places around the United States and even around the globe. But I know the land here in southeastern Ohio in a way that very few people will ever get to experience in their life. Yeah. Because I'm generationally from here, and there's, like, a generational knowledge that I inherited. And I think that's, even if somebody's only been here for 3 generations, it's still something very real. Even if they've only been here for 1 generation. You're here, you're raised here with this, like, very intricate, beautiful fabric of a community that at this point in time still is safe. It is important to get out of here for moments, but not to feel like you need to sever that tie or that you shouldn't come back, that coming back is a failure. Yeah. It's good to we're so isolated, and there's a beauty in that, but, like, it's also a
You mean, like, that's what the people mean by the Athens bubble? Like,
not just the Athens bubble, because I think the Athens bubble is, like, you don't even recognize what's going on down in Kilver or Tablertown or Guysville, Yeah, like,
it's the truth. Hopefully this changes.
You only know what's going on in Court Street and East State Street. Like, that's, to me, the Athens bubble, but, like, there's pockets, like, when you get out into, like, Corning, where I'm talking about, like, there's pockets where people really haven't experienced more of the world. And so they're only getting, like, what's coming to them
through, just closed-minded, maybe a little
cable
bit.
Television, yeah. And, standard Facebook ads or whatever. So that kind of stuff, I think it is important to get out, to see different ways of living, different opportunities. And it enhances our fabric here, right?
Sure. I mean, I needed to leave.
It expands the living tradition, right? It's like, hey, like, or relearn things. Like, white oak basketry isn't really, it was practiced here, but there's really not anyone doing it anymore. So, like, when I want to learn white oak basketry, when I go and, like, try to come to terms that I'll never be a white oak basketry weaver, though I know more about it than most people. But when I'm seeking classes to, like, get a taste of it and, like, infuse that into myself, I have to go to Kentucky or to North Carolina or somewhere else because it's not here anymore. And whether it be an old tradition or a new tradition, like, getting out, there's great value in it. But knowing that it's not a failure to stay. It's not a failure to return. In fact, it's probably going to be a mark of really great success if you do, because you're building from a foundation that's already strong.
Yeah. Put a smile on my face. That's awesome. Yeah. And the stigma, it's okay. It's okay. You know, I mean, yeah, I hope that we just keep hearing it. Like I said, this just keeps coming up on the podcast, and I'm grateful that you kind of shared like a similar experience with it. You know, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think it's just for like right here. Like I really think it's like kind of a global thing, and it's not that I don't want to see us like have opportunities. You know, like I've gotten to live abroad, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing to have that opportunity. But I also saw that folks in the town that I was living in, they really didn't leave, and they were able to like be healthier and stronger, like in their core of self, because they were very rooted to where they were from versus like wailing and trying to figure it out and piling on the debt and
it's like they had good relationships. It's the simple things, you know, like to your point, right? You need food, you need shelter, you need some love.
You need good neighbors. Yeah.
That's awesome. And I think Athens has Athens can be that for a lot of people.
Yeah. So why the podcast?
Well, I was interested in podcasting, like in college too, even like as I was getting my accounting degree. So like they had a studio in Schoonover, and like I would go in there every once in a while. Like I just thought it was cool. Like I love talking to people. I'm a communicator. I'm an extrovert. It's just what like I am. And, you know, so this whole time was like trying to like I always talk about things, but I don't take action on them. And so even this podcast, like I talked about it, like you know, like COVID hit and then it stopped, and it's like, well, it would be cool, but I just always talked about it and never did it. And then I was like, it made me realize, like, you know, if I just start the podcast, what I enjoy doing is doing the thing, you know, like talking on the you know, so it's just like, I just had this lure to communicating and to connecting, and I mean, it's not even about the podcast. It's about the stories of the people. It's not about the podcast. You know, it's so then, you know, that's kind of my answer. It's not about the podcast.
Right,
It's about the community. It's about the people.
Yeah.
It's about the stories. Like I had my football coach come on, like one of my varsity coaches that I played with him. We just sat here and talked about stories and like kind of his coaching arc and what was hard for him. And just like, I want to share, like, you know, there's just so many great people in Athens, and it's like, wouldn't it be cool to share stories and ideas and the whys, you know? It's just like so many, like even this right here, like, you know, it was on the calendar for a couple of weeks. I got, you know, saw it and thought it was cool and stuff, but it's like, I didn't know for sure that I was going, but like now in this, you know, I don't have a choice. So like I had Ronnie Givens on from the food truck. I had no choice but to go the very next day, because it's just like, God damn, like awesome. I believe in you. Like it's just like I just want to, and so then that's just, it's so intuitively obvious that this is good for me. This is what I should be doing. The feedback's like
this is a living tradition, right? Like
you could, I mean,
humans used to sit around the fire and like. Or sit on the porch and share stories and
thought of it that way.
And connect. So I've brought up Kurt's name multiple times. I hope you bring him in and talk to him. He came by the other day, and he just did his first successful sequential, is that how you pronounce the word? Sequential?
Yeah.
Sequential class series, right? And he was like, at first, I was like, how was your first class? And he was a little bit like, oh, I don't know. But then, like, second class, he's like, oh, it's going to be fine, you know? And at the end, like, when I got to talk to him, he was like, that was amazing. Mm-hmm. It was so different than just teaching a, like, one-day workshop, which even with the one-day workshops, what you see is this I always call it this awakening of the primal root part of our brain. Like, we are made as humans to do things with our hands and to connect, even if we're, quote-unquote, not good at it, right? But we're, like... That's how we've gotten to where we are here, is like our thumbs have brought us here. And when we sit and we craft, or we make something, or we work on a project together, or we play music together, or we share a story, it reconnects us to that older part of our being and reminds us of what it is like to be human.
It's like that tribal thing. It's like the very deepest, darkest part, right? Is like the tribal connection with those around you immediately.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we live in a world where it's really hard to get that now. Like we get those stories and things by listening to a podcast on our radio, you know, in our car as we're driving to work or making a commute or whatever. we have found ways to like replace it a little bit, but there's nothing that like does it the same way as like actually being in person with somebody and like hearing live music, eating like good home cooked food, being in the garden. Like even if you're not good at gardening, like just getting your hands in the dirt, there's something about it that reminds you that you're alive, that you're a human, and that you've evolved on this planet with the earth and with other humans. It's cool.
Yeah, humbling. That's so beautiful. Fantastic, Talcon. Cool. I'm so glad we fired it back up. This is great. Awesome. Thanks again so much. I think this is awesome. Definitely, I would love to try to get Kurt on. Like, I'm going to re-listen. Just like, I was like, I do this all the time. Like, I'll try to like keep track of shit. And I'm like, oh yeah, I could just listen to it after. So I'll go run back through that list. But for sure, it'd be awesome. It would be great to even maybe have somebody on to talk about how it went. You know, if you wanted to come back, or even like kind of time it right so that you could talk about how the last one went, but then kind of resurface the Stewart one. You know, like I'd like to open the revolving door. But yeah, I mean,
check it out. I'm sure you'll meet other people that you might want to interview down there. Like I mentioned with the first round of the series, we got like hand recorders for a bunch of the different centers around here. Cool. So like the Hive has one in Nelsonville, the Multicultural Center in Chester Hill has one, the Sports Opera House, FERC has one. I have theirs right now. But, like, the idea of them is for people to be able to record stories of their, like, friends and family and collect those there. So we see this as being a part of living traditions, is collecting those oral histories and stories. So come down.
For sure.
Find other people to talk to.
I will, Awesome. Thanks again, Talcon Quinn, so much. Yeah, well.